something on your mind anytime, I'm here to listen. Sister Talk. When you need someone who understands, I know what you're missing. Sister Talk. No matter what you're going through, don't worry, I ain't going nowhere. Sister Talk. If you ever feel alone, say the word, I'll be right there. Sister Talk. Sister, 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 sister talk, sister.
Atlanta teacher scandal. You know, 8 former educators were sentenced to 1 to 7 years in prison for changing the test scores of their students. Are they innocent, or does the punishment fit the crime? Do we have a video of that?
Today, why they refused to take a last-minute plea deal even after a jury convicted them in a scheme to inflate student test scores in order to earn bonuses or keep their jobs.
I would not be able to take a deal that required me to perjure myself. When you are completely innocent and you're asked to stand up and say that you're guilty, I believe that's still perjury. And I wasn't willing to compromise my integrity and say I did something that I did not do. In addition to that, I really believe in the judicial process. And I have the constitutional right to file an appeal. And in order for me to take that deal, I would have had to negotiate away my rights to appeal. And I just wasn't willing to do that.
Oh my gosh. It has been an overwhelming burden. When it first happened, I just was immobilized with the notion that not just a few people thought we hurt children, but it felt like the whole world was against us. And it was huge. So it has taken a strong emotional toll, financial, intellectual. I don't feel as smart as I used to. But spiritually, I'm stronger.
You got fine educators here. The educators who were back in the schools who cheated and told and came and said that we made them cheat because they were scared of us and all that, they're back there teaching your kids. Be afraid, be very afraid.
All 8 former educators have been sentenced to serve anywhere from 1 to 7 years in prison. They all plan to appeal.
When I saw the video, my heart went out to that woman. And I believe they're innocent. Call me crazy, what have you, but I believe that they're innocent. True, they may have done some form of rising the test scores just a little bit, but not enough to be sent to prison, not enough to be charged with racketeering. What the hell is racketeering for teachers?
It sounds so much like the Rockefeller drug laws, the RICO Act.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like when, the difference between people who sold powder cocaine and those that sold crack cocaine, the time was so inflated for crack cocaine. So here we have teachers who participate in raising the scores. And we should really talk about that, because in New York, here in New York, there's such pressure put on schools to produce students who do well on the test. And I'm sure Atlanta's feeling that this is like a trend all across the country again.
Yes.
That schools are feeling the pressure to produce high test scores.
And also these districts where these test scores are supposedly being cheated or being,
inflated
and so forth. The funds are being cut.
Right, and that's why there's such pressure.
There's such pressure to do that. So we're going to take this phone call. Carly, you watch the Sistah Talk TV show. What do you have to say? Hi.
Hi, sisters. I'm calling regarding the teacher scandal.
Where are you calling from?
I'm coming from Gramercy in Manhattan.
Okay, what's your name?
Karen.
Hi, Karen. Thank you for calling the show. What do you have to say?
What I had to say is that I don't think they should have warrant that much hard time for a RICO charge. I think if they molested a kid or they were drug dealers, they would have got the same amount of time. Some of the higher-up administrators, maybe they should have got maybe 5 years, but I think he charged one with 10 years.
Oh, wow, wow.
I think the judge could have been creative and have them teach some of the convicts in the jail. That should have been, I think that would have been a better sentence for that, to teach them so they could be ready when they come out of prison. But I think because they're black, he was extremely harsh, even before they were convicted. I think if they were white, they wouldn't got a greater sentence. There was a cheating scandal here in New York. I'm not exactly sure where, but they were also students and teachers, and they got federal funds. Some of the kids got arrested, but they got probation. They would have never had the white teachers spend 7 to 10 years in jail doing hard time, and now their life is over because now they have a record on a RICO charge. That's it for them.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you for calling.
You know what, this is crazy, and that's why I truly believe in truth in sentencing and whatnot. The punishment should fit the crime. And originally they wanted to give him, 20 years.
Yes,
And what I think the one thing that was a little bit creative is they did a combination of community service, they did a combination of fines, and
we're talking about thousands of hours of
community service. But, on one end, it's like if these kids did not perform well, the teachers face such pressure that they get low scores on their evaluations and whatnot, in some cases demoted or even fired. Now, I understand about teachers' accountability, but at the same time, I do a lot of work with Dr. Lenore Fulani, and I believe in the concept of Dr. Newman and Dr. Fulani, who believe in the concept that we should not have so much emphasis on standardized tests, but our children need to be developed, and we should have a curriculum that focuses on development and growth.
I hear those standardized tests are really tricky.
They are very tricky. They are very
and
tricky.
I remember that's another issue with these standardized tests, because way back in the 60s and even 70s, they were saying that because of the children's cultures or where they were raised or how they were raised, people just don't understand. It shouldn't be just a general test for everybody.
It shouldn't be. There was a test when my daughter was in school in Florida, and it probably still is. It's called the SAMPA, and it's a standardized test. And the language in the test did not match the community of people that had to take the test, meaning young people. So in the South, you would hear grandmothers refer to the couch as the settee.
That's right.
In the test, it said couch, and most kids did not get that right. Like 90-something% did not get that question when it said, what is this? Which shows that there's a disparity in terms of how the tests are designed, and they don't take culture into account when they create these tests. The other thing is that every so many years, there's this whole new trend of what kind of testing, where, or even curriculum. So what happens is the teachers feel the pressure, the principal puts the pressure on because it's coming from higher up, like the chancellor or so forth, and they feel the need to fudge because they have students who are not being taught the same way, so they're not learning. The test is impassable, and then you have teachers who say this stuff is ridiculous. What are they going to do?
Please call in 212-757-1393. Does the punishment fit the crime, or do you believe, like I believe that they are innocent? I really do. I believe that they are made to be scapegoats. You have pedophiles in the school system that get less time than that. Critics are saying that Wall Street, the people who have embezzled money and so forth from the taxpayers, the consumers, they get less time than that. And even if they do go to jail, they go to a certain type of jail where they are not around convicted rapists or murderers and so forth. You look at that video, I don't think these people, I'm not going to be scared to walk the streets. I'm not going to get mugged by her. I'm not going to get mugged by them. No, I'm not going to get accosted or talked to really bad by them. They're not a threat to me. They are not a threat to me. What is this all about? 212-757-1393. This is Talk TV show, and we are live. Manhattan Neighborhood Network, New York City.
I think as a teacher, you kind of like know your students. And if you know that if little Jamal comes from a household where he's not getting a breakfast in the morning, so he can't concentrate on school, but you know that he's a good student. and you know that he participates in class and that he tries hard. That one test that he took one morning doesn't show the whole picture of this young man.
No.
And so standardized tests alone does not show it. If you remember a movie 40 years ago, Cooley High.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
Garrett Morris said in that movie, he said, he said to the kid and he said to the police officer when they got
put him in
into
a jail,
trouble,
right?
He said, look, every year I push these kids. Why? So that they could write on their job application, high school graduate. And I think that these teachers take that same approach. These are good kids who deserve an opportunity and a chance. Our kids are not being developed. Our school system is failing because they're focusing only on a snapshot at one point in time on a standardized test. And so we have to focus on growth. We have to focus on development.
And also, you have a great point there. The teachers know the students. The teacher knows what they are capable of. I was a child.
They take the power away from the teacher, though.
Right. Yeah. I was a child in 5th grade. I was always slow in math. And now that I'm an adult, I realize why. I'm a very creative person. I write, I act, I'm doing this. We create. I am a walking artist. That's my instrument. This is who I am. My teacher, 5th grade, Miss Quarterbaum, she realized that. But she took time out. Yeah, I remember her name. She realized that, but at the end of the school year, I was one of the top people that was very proficient in math because of her technique. Of her technique. The teachers know the students. They know the students. 212-757-1393. I know y'all looking.
So every day I'm in a public school. My organization, Street Corner Resources, we provide services inside public schools. And so we see young people all the time who have to be kind of under the gun for testing. I was in one middle school in the Bronx just Thursday, and the young people had 4 hours of standardized tests. And then they had to come back to class and participate in regular instruction. Now imagine how you would feel having a test for 4 hours, a driver's test, a job test, anything, and these kids have to come back after that and go into class and be normal and sit down. It's a lot of pressure. People need to really understand what their children go through, and then on the other side, what teachers are being asked and what the pressure is on principals when their students are being tested. The whole school is under stress.
And I don't care what child you have in your house or what child that is. Nobody can focus that long.
No.
Not even an adult. They have to get up and get some coffee and come back and sit down. So,
And then all of the energy that's created, not just during the test time, there's a certain energy that principals and pressure that principals put inside the school. So imagine you're preparing, you just came back from vacation, and then students are in school being told you have to take the test, you have to do well, you got to pass. Did you read, go home and study, go to bed early, do this, don't that, stand up, sit down, cover up everything. It's a lot of pressure. They cover up all the bulletin boards now. And anything that says anything in the school on the wall is covered with paper. Yeah. So the whole environment changes. Right.
And I think sometimes, is it really cheating if I know that if you're nervous, that you're not concentrating, and I say, well, Sister Aisha, look carefully, you forgot to carry the wand.
Right.
Am I cheating? Because I'm looking at her paper, I know that she's working hard, and I see that she put the one here, but she forgot to carry that one over. Right. Is that really cheating? I'm just making an observation.
We have a phone call. Carly watches Sistah Talk TV show. We are live in New York City. Okay. What do you have to say? Where you calling from? And your name?
Yes, my name is Patsy Alexander, and I think what they're doing to those teachers is crazy. I have never in my life seen something like that. The time that the judge gave those teachers is unbelievable, because I am 70 years old and I went to school in South Carolina, Greenville, South Carolina, and I didn't learn how to read and write until I was 40 years old, and that comes from me going to jail. So the teachers, sometimes they find you that you're a little slow,
You said you said you didn't learn how to read and write until you was 40 years old?
Until I was 40 years old.
Because you went to jail?
Yeah, that's how I learned how to read and write. And I'm telling you, I was going to a public school every day because I didn't have money to pay for lunch, or I didn't have the 2 pennies to put in the pan that they say you take up there and put on the teacher's dress. She completely ignored me, and she was a black teacher. So you got a lot of those people there don't deserve what that judge did to them. They ought to be shaming themselves, and anybody in power need to do something about what he did.
So you're saying those teachers were not the teachers that you had when you were a child?
No,
okay.
No, man.
We're trying to get it clear, that's all.
Yeah, those teachers right there care about their students.
Exactly.
Okay.
And like they said, they want them to be able to put on their application that they graduated from school, because for real, by the time they get there, that they're gonna need more than that to write down.
Thank you.
That's right.
Thank you. Thank you for calling in. You know, she got a point there. You know, she's saying just what you said, you know, to put on their application, high school graduate.
And just to refer back to our caller for a minute, you know, a lot of people think that I'm being, you know, overzealous because I happen to be an advocate, but that pipeline from schools to prison is very real. And if a child is unable to concentrate, he is diagnosed, as you might hear Brother Umar Johnson talk about, because he's a clinical
and
DH
all of those
and all these different acronyms. And they want to put our kids into these slow developmental classes and remedial classes, and then now he's on the slow track. And then he's on that fast track in reality to prison. And then what happens is that these kids get caught up in the prison industrial complex. So there are some teachers who understand that. Someone like me might understand that. And so therefore, I might be that teacher, say, you know what, little Jamal needs a break. Let me try to help him along the way.
Exactly.
So that at least he can be able to get to the point where he's able to graduate from high school.
Right. You know, I just want to reference something that you said, Mark, was that our schools are feeding the prison, and they feed the prison industrial complex because the prison industrial complex has a 90% guaranteed fill rate for private prisons. That's right. Right? And so in order to keep these prisons full, you have to have people who will go. And the projections of who will go to prison are often made, the projections of how many prisons will be built are often made at third grade, based on how a young person is doing at third grade. So I just want the listening audience to understand how important it is that they be involved in their children's education. And not just because these teachers were pushing for their kids to pass. These teachers may know, too, that most of the young people that wind up in prison are young people who cannot read, like this lady who called in. You'll find very low reading levels. They have not graduated if they're older and of graduating age, have not graduated. And a lot of them suffer from learning disabilities. So when we look at the 90% fill rate, in order to get that, you have to have crimes that are small with high charges. In the case of the teachers, for example.
It takes a village to raise a child.
It does.
It's not just the teachers, it's everybody coming in.